Hooray! And welcome back to the Kingdom Hearts 3 playthrough. We are back again in Olympus, because today we are just doing sort of the finishing wrap-up of all of the treasure chests and lucky emblems and all that jazz. So, yeah, we are back in for another sort of slightly longer exploration-y part, but don't worry, we'll get back into sort of the major flow of story and plot and new stuff in the next part. It's just one of those things of Olympus is sort of quite a big opening world, and so there's a lot to explore. And obviously, just the way these things roll. I think that, if I recall correctly, some worlds will be able to sort of get all the cleanup done in one part, easy peasy. A few of them, that will not be the case. I mean, a prime example will definitely be the Caribbean. Like, my god, that world is, it's not short in terms of the collectibles. Also, I swear, sort of throughout my run of Olympus, I really struggle to get into the magic launcher and actually get to use it. Because I just sort of like seem to kill the enemies just as I go into magic launcher and then don't get to enjoy it to its fullest. Which sucks, but hey, it happens.
Let's see.
And, oh, that's a quite a nice, easy, lucky emblem to find. And actually, one of the things that I do feel like I probably should shout out for Kingdom Hearts 3 is, like, some of its texture work is really beautiful. I mean, outside of, I think, a few areas, like, the worlds just look absolutely stunning, and you can get really close up to a lot of them, and they still look great. I think that's probably in part because of the fact that you've got selfie mode.
Let's see.
And so, you kind of want to ensure that, you know, things look good when you've got a selfie mode, because then you want to share images of things and all of that jazz. And, oh look! We've only got 2 lucky emblems remaining. I know one of them is down in the forge, and then the other one is a bit more difficult to spot, actually. Or at least, it's not necessarily difficult to spot, but it's in a bit of an awkward location. Because it's up in the clouds, and you've got to go to a specific bit to be able to see it, and if you aren't in that specific bit, then yeah, you're not going to see it. And it's a bit annoying. But hey, also I definitely had a wee bit of a break in between there. I can't remember exactly why. I don't know whether it was because I was just like, I've been recording for frickin' ever. I need a little bit of a break of exploring Olympus. Because, I mean, obviously that is something that I do tend to do quite a lot, is I sort of like, I play in chunks, and so, particularly at the early stage of the game, and to be fair, throughout most of it, it was very much a case of playing for like 2, 3, 4 hour sessions before I gave up for the night. So it was very much a case of just deciding some things and not others, but also we get to do the super slider a little bit more as it should be, with actual shooting on the super slider. This one's definitely longer than the one that you take to get elsewhere. You do have sort of enemies to kill, and it's quite fun. There is sort of 1 or 2 much longer versions of these later on, but sort of, if you want a little bit of training to get used to the whole thing, this is where you want to do it. And yeah, this was an area that we didn't actually get to, well, we didn't explore the first time we came here. So this was a nice, lovely surprise, and yeah, the lucky emblem that I am referring to that is a little bit more difficult to spot is actually in this very area. So I'm going to be a complete div and just look everywhere other than where the lucky emblem is, because, you know, if I had been able to see it, I would have taken a photo. Basically, if you look out over Olympus from that ledge, then you can see the lucky emblem clear as day in the clouds. But obviously, because I am categorically useless and clearly at least a little bit... Oh, yes. So there, you can see it there, but clearly I was just sort of rolling about, not looking at anything, and then I was looking down and just thinking, oh, can I leap off of here? And I can't. And didn't think, oh, I should probably look up, because that would have made my life a hell of a lot easier. And then, as you will see sort of a little bit later on, I got very, very lost in terms of trying to find how to get to that particular lucky emblem again. It's a bit embarrassing. But these things do happen, and as I believe I've said before, this was the point when I was playing Kingdom Hearts 3 of wanting to do the exploration myself and prove that I can do this. And then obviously I very quickly realised, well, you can do this and you can collect everything and you can do fine. Don't be an idiot. Appreciate your viewers' time. And just use a bloody guide for the rest of them, for the love of God, otherwise you'll be here for frickin' ever with some of these worlds. And honestly, I mean, if I'd had to do that in the Caribbean, oh boy, that would have been an absolute mess. I mean, it is going to take us a while as it is, just because it's a frickin' huge world, but it would have been even worse because I wouldn't have had the slightest clue of where I was going and what I was looking for. And that would have just been incredibly embarrassing. And yes, I'm just making sure I don't have any chests down here that I missed, because, you know, it's always that type of chest. They're sort of in an area that you thought you'd explored, but you didn't really explore, and you get a little bit confused. But also, what's really nice is we get these nice slidey rails in order to quickly get up to the top of Olympus. And what's also really quite awesome is that Zeus himself is waiting up here and will have a quick chat to us if we speak to him.
You came just in the nick of time, my boy. Olympus owes you and your friends a great debt.
And that's just awesome. There is actually a how do I call it? There is a photo mission that you can do with Zeus if you just take a photo of him, and that's quite great fun. And also here I'm thinking, oh, can I get oh, now is the point where I recognise the lucky emblem, and I'm just like, how do I get this? And then I was just like, oh wait, maybe to get that big block thing there I have to do this. And that is exactly what you have to do. I just didn't press X at the right time in order to pull it off. So I'm going to have to do that again. It's all a case of trial and error and learning as you go. And for some reason I'm not doing that. I'm now trying to go and get a picture of the lucky emblem. I think because I was thinking, but what if I forget where it is? And then I forgot how to take a photo. Which, you know, it's really very smooth. Like, this is one of those moments where it's just like, this is just the pinnacle of gaming, you know. It's just like you put the game away for 5 seconds and then all of a sudden you forget how to play absolutely everything. You don't know what the hell you're doing, and you're just very, very confused and very lost, and just sort of just like, okay, we'll leave it at that. And then in trying to, you know, find where I was going, I ended up back down at the fort. It's going to work out, because, as I said, there is a lucky emblem down here. It's one of the other ones. And if you remember, it's on the anvil. And, Herc, can you move your butt out of the way? There we go, thank you. What is quite cool is that you can do selfies with lucky emblems. It's just that it can obviously make it slightly harder to ensure that the lucky emblem is in range of the photo and visible enough and at the right angle in order to ensure that it is accepted as a lucky emblem. I do think that they probably could have been a little more lenient with the lucky emblems, because as you have seen and you will see plenty of times going forward, it's very easy sometimes to spot a lucky emblem, but then actually getting the angle right on them can become a really difficult job, and you end up at... I'm sorry, Herc, I did not need that close-up view of your crotch. Okay, thank you. But yeah, it becomes a lot more difficult to try and get the angle specifically right. I mean, I would say a prime example of that would be the one that was on top of the sort of the chimney on top of the Moogle shop in Twilight Town. That one was one of those where it's just like, so I've got to be standing right on the edge of this really small platform, but it's sort of really finicky to get to that position on that really small platform. And it was just a bit of a nightmare. And here's me once again trying to figure out how the hell to get back to the area that I was once at. You know, the one which was up here that I managed to sort of weasel my way to quite easily, and then clearly just forgot everything. And I believe, yeah, it's at this point where I was just like, where is this thing? And how do I still have 4 chests remaining? What is wrong with me? So, yeah, one of them is definitely in the bit that you've got to break after doing a dive. One of them, as I believe I said in the last part, is in that foot on the cliff. Can't remember where the other 2 are. I'm sure we will find them. I mean, that's sort of the whole gist of this part, really, is finding those last remaining things. And obviously, I do apologise that it is sort of on the longer side, shall we say, of things. But once again, authentic experience of Kingdom Hearts 3. And I think in terms of presenting my thoughts on this game, that's probably the most effective way to do that. Purely because, one, you know, it reminds me of what my initial thoughts were of the game, and also it allows me to look back at some of these elements a little bit more critically. Because if my initial thought process was sort of a little bit more positive, shall we say, it might be that on reviewing the footage and reviewing my gameplay, it then goes, ooh, no, maybe I was being a little bit too lenient. Equally, it could also be that, on the flip side, I could also be being a little bit too harsh. And really, it's trying to find that balance. And that's sort of, I think, one of the things that I've always tried to do as a commentator over video games, a Let's Player, as we are called.
Come on, fellas.
Because obviously what you tend to get, sometimes anyway, is either a lot of positivity, a lot of negativity, and you don't always get that critical balance. Because obviously, human beings are very, very fickle. And also, as you may have noticed, particularly with people who do commentaries and reviews and all that jazz, we're also really, really, really opinionated people. I mean, we wouldn't be doing this if we were not. But I think that, yeah, what tends to happen is that a lot of people tend to, get caught up in their emotions and their thoughts, and don't always truly look at some of these things in that more critical view. I mean, obviously, I am guilty of that as well. In many, many games, I perhaps forgive things that other people would not, because I just really like the game. I mean, Prince of Persia 2008, kind of a prime example. But obviously what I personally try and do is to at least sort of look at the other side of the argument and sort of show off where I do agree, where I don't agree, and sort of how that all works, because it is sort of, it's important to have that critical balance in things. I mean, it's pretty much my major thing with whenever I was doing, well, when I used to write reviews for my website, was trying to get that balance of where do my biases come into this, where are they not part of this, and I am actually able to look at this in a more objective fashion. Obviously, in terms of game criticism, there is no such thing as objectivity, because outside of physical game performance and bugs, everything in gaming is subjective, from the art style to the narratives to the performances of the actors involved, to the funness of the gameplay loops, to the music. All of that is just purely subjective. So it can be really difficult to find sort of that middle ground of what feels more like an objective viewpoint than sort of a purely subjective one. And I hope that as we go through this playthrough, you will get sort of that slightly more objective, slightly more, I suppose, overall fair perspective on Kingdom Hearts 3, because, I mean, really I need to have a look at some of the other elements of criticism that the game has received, so that I actually do sort of, you know, have the full scope of where all the arguments are with this game. Because obviously I do sit on one particular side of that argument of really liking the game, thinking that it is, I would say, the strongest of the... Well, it is my favourite Kingdom Hearts game, without a shadow of a doubt. And obviously that brings with it its own issues of how I am presenting the game. But I hope that sort of, to all of you listening and watching this, that you do see sort of at least a level of fairness, and that I'm not gonna shy away at all from the flaws of Kingdom Hearts 3. I mean, when we get to the extras after the sort of, you know, the ending of the game, there are a few things that I definitely feel need to be said about Kingdom Hearts 3 and its narrative, but they're best left for the end of the game. Well, the post-game, really, because we need to see the ending and all that jazz. And that is more in relation to, well, for me anyway, it's primarily the treatment of one specific character, but that's for them. And I really like that bit of dialogue is there. I know this is sort of going completely off the tangent where I was at, but I really do like that when you go back to certain areas in sort of post-world gameplay, as I shall dub it, the characters sort of still talk to you about things, and you still sort of get little bits of extra character and little bits of extra relationship building. I mean, when we eventually get towards sort of one of the later worlds, there is a whole section that you get to re-enjoy Some people will find that quite frustrating, but it's quite nice because you get to see characters in sort of a slightly different setting to where you normally find them in that world after you've beaten the game, and sort of so on and so forth. But that's that. And also, you can definitely tell right now that I have looked at the guide, so I know exactly where I am going now to find everything that I need. And yes, so as I said, one of the chests... Oh, it was right there. That was the one that cleared all the way back when that I just somehow couldn't see. I'm not quite sure how I managed that one. It's a bit frustrating. Also, trying to get into or onto this platform is a little bit frustrating if you don't have sort of a particular ability that allows you to jump after doing a flow motion stab type thing. And also, because of the height here, unless you've got high jump, it can be a tiny bit infuriating to get on top of the foot to get that one. But that is all of the treasure chests. It's also all of the lucky emblems. But there is one more thing that we need to complete in Olympus before we can say that it is truly done. I mean, obviously we will be back in order to take on the delight that is the Flantastic Flan. And, you know, get an excellent rating on that one. Get a proper high score. But yes, we've got to go back and pick up that golden Herc statue that we didn't pick up the first time round, because I want to finish that side quest, because I started it and I got so far, but I didn't finish it. And it feels only right that I need to finish it. And, yeah, it was just a case of going, right, where was it again? Because it had been enough time having passed for me to think, oh, I'm going to have a rethink of where that was, to actually being able to find it. But basically, yeah, I just have to run back to the alleyway and into that building there, and it was just right in the corner. So, right there, I can't believe I didn't pick up the first time, and then I would have, you know, on my own, have completed that side quest and been quite proud of myself. But, oh well, it's okay. I can just take that on the chin and move on, because the side quest is actually beaten as soon as we take this final Herc statue back to the little kid. But I suppose the argument that I can go with for this, although I don't know why I seem to be forgetting to go back to the kid. I think I was just going for the exit and going, yeah, it's all finished, it's all fine. It's just like, now I need to take them back to the kids to get the prize. Oh, dear me.
Yes! That's all of them! Thank you so much!
But obviously, what I can say... Well, you get the hero's belt out of it, which is quite nice. But obviously, you wouldn't have heard that extra little bit of dialogue had I returned all 5 of them at once. So that's clearly the... that was clearly the modus operandi for that. Yeah. Let's just sort of scoot that under the carpet and just enjoy the fact that Olympus is beaten. And because obviously we've not really had anything hugely new going on right now, as you can see, we haven't actually got the photo challenge yet to take a picture of Zeus. But that is something that we will get later on. Also, there are a lot of collector's goals. I'd be intrigued to see whether, when I actually get back into the post-game, which I really need to do, whether I will manage to actually just complete all of the collector's goals naturally, because you do complete quite a few of them quite quickly. But you're very unlikely to have completed all of them by the time you get to the end of the game. But either way, it is time to jump on into the world map, and we are going to head off to a brand new world. And obviously, while I would have, you know, included this at the start of the next part, I think I decided that it made more sense, I suppose, at this point, because obviously we'd had a lot of going back over stuff. I thought, I'm going to go forward this time with including the gummy ship here, so then we end when we get to the world, and then we start the next part immediately on that world. I wanted to have some level of consistency throughout, but I don't think I ended up with that in terms of what I remember that I've edited so far. So, oh well on that one, but it is fine because we're going with that fluid approach. So, yes, we are heading to a world that a lot of people have wanted for a very, very, very long time, and so that's going to be quite exciting. Also, just for note, I did sort of forget how to fly, because I think this was like the next day when I came to this. And yeah, it was telling me about constellations, and I was just like, is that a constellation? Is that a constellation? But then that wouldn't work. Basically, you have got to be sort of up close-ish to the constellations in order to get them photoed. Once again, it'll react exactly the same as the lucky emblems if you're in the right position. But you have got to be in the right position in order to get these to work. Which, maybe I just wasn't reading correctly. I mean, that was probably the case, because I do get slightly lazy on those introduction tutorial text screens. It's just like, if you're not going to tell me straight up what's going on, I'm just going to sort of figure it out myself. Which is what a lot of people do, and it's really bad practice, because obviously then people just end up doing absolutely stupid things even though the game has told them exactly how to do it. So at least I've never been that bad with tutorial text. It's just that there's certain bits that clearly I don't pay much attention to. Also, as I learned here, the Invincible is not a great ship. It is definitely not a very great ship for doing these sorts of things, because what you tend to want is you want firepower over kind of defensive capabilities. At least that's what I've pretty much found, because the quicker you can kill the heartless gummy ships, the quicker you'll get through this, and therefore the less health you'll lose anyway. Because there's less things attacking you because you killed them quickly. That's sort of the logic, really, on that one. And so, yeah, I did really quickly find out that because my High Wind 2, the Invincible, is not got the best offensive capabilities, it just ends up really not doing a very good job in these at all. Which is not going to help, because I think that we are going to have a gummy ship boss coming up shortly. Because there are a few of those in here, which I have to say I do appreciate, because they are quite fun. But yes, there is our new world. We've unlocked a new warp location, because we just passed one of the warp areas there. And yes, as soon as we get near to our brand new world, here is our boss. And this is the Astro Warrior, and yeah, it's quite fun, but annoyingly he is going to take a while to take down. Longer than I would have liked. It definitely longer than had I gone with the original Highwind design, or really any other design that had firepower. But I suppose this is one of those things where this is a lesson that I had to learn. Otherwise, I probably would not have learned it and just kept going with random gummy ships. But yeah, I say pretty much the way that you just want to tackle this is use your lock-on laser targeting to sort of bring out the extra damage on the Astro Warrior. I mean, really, outside of probably that attack, he is not terrifying in the slightest. Because as you can see, all I'm doing is just sort of pretty much just flying in a circle, and his attacks really are not hitting me. And I'm getting a lot of hits on him. So it was just that one where he pulled out the punch, which I clearly had no idea what I was doing, and yeah, I was just like la da 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 da, just getting those attacks in. Just keep plugging away, just keep firing, and he'll die eventually. Couple more volleys now. Like, come on, Astro Warrior, we need you to go so that we can begin the next world. And there he goes. And so, with that done, on we go to our first brand new world of Kingdom Hearts 3. And it's a pretty exciting one. It's the toy box. So, with a wonderful loading screen of Yenzo, let's get ready to enjoy the wonders of Toy Story in Kingdom Hearts after all these years.